The steam curled gently from the teacups, but Anna's stomach turned as she stared into the amber liquid. Her husband Hans smiled, sliding the cup toward her just like every night. "You've had a rough day, my love. This will help you relax." But something was wrong. Each evening after that tea, Anna would slip into a heavy, dreamless sleep, waking groggy, her memory fragmented. Tonight, she waited for Hans to turn away, then poured the tea into a nearby plant. Moments later, she crawled into bed and feigned sleep, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. That's when she heard him rifling through drawers, typing furiously on her laptop, and copying documents. He had no idea she was awake, watching as he dismantled my life piece by piece. I stopped drinking his tea and watched him dismantle my life in the dark. Stay with me to see how I caught my husband drugging me while stealing everything I owned. 7 years earlier, when Anna met Hans at an international finance seminar in Munich, he had swept her off her feet with his wit, intelligence, and magnetic charm. She was a rising star in Berlin's financial sector, known for her razor-sharp analysis and ability to handle multi-zillion euro portfolios with precision and calm. Hans, equally impressive, worked in investment consulting and seemed to admire her intellect as much as her quiet confidence. Their whirlwind romance led to marriage within a year, a union many admired as a power couple made for success. At first, their life together was vibrant and supportive. They shared dinners discussing economic forecasts and their dreams of traveling through Europe. But over time, subtle shifts began to emerge. Hans's affection became more performative than genuine. He started asserting control over their routines, what they ate, how their home was organized. Even when they should unwind, it started innocently enough, with him making her tea each evening. "You work too hard," he'd say, handing her a warm cup with a soft smile. "This will help you relax." Anna appreciated the gesture at first. Her job was demanding, and she often stayed late into the evening reviewing financial projections. But soon, things changed. She began feeling exhausted all the time. Her mind, once sharp and dependable, grew cloudy. She started forgetting details, missing appointments, fumbling through presentations. At first, she blamed burnout. She told herself it was the natural wear and tear of a demanding career, and maybe even age creeping in. But the deterioration was rapid and unrelenting. Her colleagues noticed. One morning, her manager raised an eyebrow during a team meeting when she completely misquoted a quarterly report. Another day, she called a senior client by the wrong name, a client she'd worked with for years. At home, things were no better. She found herself walking into rooms without remembering why. Even the simple act of writing emails became a challenge as she searched for words that used to come effortlessly. Hans, strangely, didn't seem concerned. "You've been pushing yourself too hard for years," he'd say, stroking her hair. "Just let go a little. Trust me." When she mentioned her fears, he would dismiss them with a warm smile and another cup of tea. "It's just stress, love. You're not sick. You're just tired. You need to rest." Anna began to internalize his words. Maybe she was spiraling. Maybe her mind was betraying her. Maybe it was all in her head. That belief held until she had lunch with Clara. Clara was her childhood friend, a clinical pharmacist who worked near Midi. Over coffee in a quiet cafe, Anna poured out her heart. The fatigue, the fog, the way her mind felt like it was swimming through molasses. Clara listened, her brow furrowing. "Are you taking anything new?" she asked. "Any supplements, medication? Even herbal stuff?" "Tea," Anna replied. "Hand makes it every night. Same brand, same process." Clara's eyes sharpened. "Stop drinking it. Tonight. Don't tell him. Just pretend. Then see what happens." Anna was skeptical, but something in Clara's tone pierced the denial she'd wrapped around herself. That night, Anna poured the tea down the drain. The next morning, for the first time in months, she woke up clear-headed. No headache, no fog. The shift was undeniable. It was then that the truth began to haunt her. Something wasn't just wrong. Something was being done to her. And the person doing it might be the man who claimed to love her most. That evening, Anna followed Clara's advice. When Hans handed her the tea with his usual calm and coaxing smile, she accepted it with steady hands and a nod of gratitude. She waited until his back was turned, and quietly poured the contents into a tall potted plant near the kitchen window. Then she returned to the couch, pretending to sip as Hans watched from the corner of his eye. She faked a yawn, thanked him again, and said she was going to bed early. Under the covers, Anna mimicked the heavy breathing of deep sleep. Her body stayed still, her ears alert. Minutes passed. The apartment was silent except for the soft hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the wooden floorboards. Then she heard Hans moving quietly down the hallway. The living room light flicked on. She slipped out of bed a few moments later, walking silently in her socks, heart pounding. Peering around the corner, she saw Hans sitting at her laptop, his expression focused and intense. The screen glowed blue against his face as he typed furiously. She watched in horror as he opened her password manager, entered credentials with ease, and began pulling up sensitive documents. Then he picked up her passport and snapped photos of it along with her tax documents and will. When he opened a loan application form, with her full legal information already filled in, Anna's stomach dropped. This wasn't a man browsing out of curiosity. This was deliberate, practiced, and criminal. She forced herself to memorize the screen loan amount, bank name, forged signature field. He even clicked into her email to verify correspondence from their bank. She stepped back into the shadows, her breath shallow, her hands trembling. It all made sense now. The fatigue, the memory lapses, the emotional fog. Hans had been drugging her, not out of dismantled her life. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was calculated identity theft. Her marriage, once a foundation of love, had become a facade hiding a man willing to destroy her for personal gain. Her heart pounded with fury and disbelief. She returned to bed silently, her mind racing as she heard Hans shut the laptop and walk toward the bedroom. As he leaned over her, whispering, "Sleep tight, my love." Her skin crawled. The next morning, Anna didn't drink his tea. She didn't confront him. Not yet. She needed evidence. She needed a plan. But in that moment, she made a vow. He would not take one more thing from her, not her money, not her identity, and certainly not her power. The man she had loved had crossed a line, and now it was her turn to act. The morning after Anna witnessed Hans stealing from her laptop, she wasted no time. She locked herself in her office during her lunch break and called Clara, her voice low and tight with urgency. "Clara, it's true," she whispered. "I saw him copying files, my passport, tax documents, even a loan application with my name on it." Clara didn't hesitate. "You need legal help. Now. Call Friedrich Mueller. I'll meet you at your place after work. We're getting you out." By late afternoon, Anna sat across from Friedrich in his quiet office in Berlin. His silver hair and calm demeanor gave her a sense of control she hadn't felt in weeks. "We'll start by freezing every account you share with Hans," he said. "Then, you'll change every password, banking, email, even cloud storage. We'll file a fraud report and alert your bank immediately." Anna signed the forms Friedrich prepared while he guided her through setting up 2 authentication on all digital accounts. With every step, she felt herself reclaiming lost ground. That evening, Clara arrived with boxes, a duffel bag, and a plan. Together, they combed through every drawer and cabinet in Anna's apartment. They gathered marriage certificates, property titles, backup drives, jewelry, and cash reserves Anna had tucked away over the years. Clara stored the most sensitive items in her home safe. By midnight, Anna stood in Clara's spare room, surrounded by boxes of her life effulgent, disoriented, but safer. Clara made her tea, this time without any mystery, and said gently, "We're not letting him destroy you." The next day, Anna began documenting everything. She printed screenshots of Hans's digital trail, took photos of the files she had seen him access, and made detailed notes, dates, times, folders, even the way he whispered, "Sleep tight," like a villain in disguise. Friedrich encouraged her to keep records of every move Hans made. "The more you have, the stronger your case," he explained. She used a backup laptop to access and download copies of her financial data, bank statements, credit card activity, suspicious login alerts, all stored on a secure external drive. Friedrich also filed a preliminary fraud complaint with the German Federal Office of Justice, noting potential identity theft and financial misconduct. They created a new legal and financial firewall. Friedrich helped her move remaining assets into a personal account in her name only. Clara connected her with a cybersecurity expert who did a sweep of Anna's devices and helped her install secure messaging and encrypted cloud backup. For the first time in months, Anna wasn't just surviving, she was fighting back. Every move was quiet, careful, deliberate. Hans suspected nothing. But Anna wasn't hiding, she was preparing. Behind the fog he had created, she had found clarity. Behind the betrayal, she had found strength. And now, with Clara's protection and Friedrich's legal strategy, Anna was no longer the woman lying helpless in the dark. She was the woman building her exit, one powerful step at a time. When Anna's phone lit up with Hans's name, she didn't flinch. She stared at the screen for a moment, then calmly answered, "Hello?" "Anna," Hans' voice cracked through the speaker, a mixture of panic and confusion. "Why are you ignoring me? I've been calling all day, what's going on?" Anna didn't raise her voice. Her tone was cold and even, each word deliberate. "I know everything, Hans." There was a long pause on the other end. Then came his nervous chuckle. "What are you talking about?" "Don't insult me," she replied. "The documents you copied, the loan application, the files you stole. I saw you." "Anna, no, I was just helping with the taxes, he stammered, but she cut him off. "You drugged me," she said. "You tried to destroy my life while I slept." "A what? I would never." "Anna, please." But Anna ended the call. No more pretending, no more giving him room to lie. Later that evening, she received an email from Friedrich with the subject line, "You need to see this." Her heart pounded as she opened the secure link and found a series of intercepted emails between Hans and someone named Lena. They weren't just flirtations, they were blueprints. Hans wrote to Lena about clearing out Anna's accounts, about the loan application finally going through, and about booking the tickets to Madrid once the funds hit. Lena replied with demands. "Make sure you get the condo with the terrace, and I want the Mercedes, not that hatchback junk." Anna scrolled through screen after screen of callous strategy. Hans described her as a deadweight, mocked her for sleeping through her own robbery, and reassured Lena with, "She has no clue. It's like taking candy from a baby." The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was logistical. Cruel. Anna stared at the screen in stunned silence. Every fear she had, every suspicion, was confirmed. But what broke her wasn't the words themselves. It was the casual tone, the way they plotted like she was some faceless stranger. A means to an end, an obstacle to their vacation plans. She dropped her head into her hands and wept. Not long, just enough. Long enough to grieve the fantasy of her marriage. Long enough to release the illusion that Hans had ever truly loved her. Then she wiped her eyes and straightened her shoulders. The time for mourning was over. She forwarded the emails to Friedrich along with a note, "Let's move fast." She made copies. 3 backups, encrypted and stored on separate drives. She called Clara and calmly told her everything. Clara didn't speak for a long time. Then, with quiet rage, she said, "We'll take him down, piece by piece." Anna spent the rest of the night organizing every file, cross-referencing Hans's emails with her financial statements, building a timeline of events. She printed evidence and stored it securely at Clara's apartment. She added Friedrich to every account and authorized him to take legal action on her behalf. No more fear. No more fog. Anna had clarity now. The betrayal had gone public, but so had the truth. And Anna, heartbroken but unshaken, was about to rewrite the ending. The next morning, Anna sat across from Friedrich in his office, the legal documents spread across the desk between them like a map to her recovery. Her hands didn't shake anymore. Her voice didn't waver. She was done doubting. She signed the final form with a steady hand and slid it toward him. "Now," Friedrich said, his voice calm but resolute, "we launched the counterstrike." First came the fraud report, filed directly with the Berlin Financial Crimes Unit. It detailed Hans's unauthorized access to her accounts, the attempted loan application in her name, and the stolen documents. Next, they froze every shared account, every card, every line of credit. Anna changed every password: bank, social, email, utilities. She even secured her online ID with a two-factor authentication system Friedrich's tech specialist helped set up. Then they locked her credit. Friedrich submitted a credit freeze request with every major bureau in Europe. Hans wouldn't be able to open a stick of gum in her name now. And that was just the beginning. Friedrich contacted Hans's firm. As an investment advisor, Hans held fiduciary responsibility over high-value accounts. Anna provided evidence that he had misused confidential financial information and was under investigation for personal fraud. The firm launched an internal audit that very afternoon. A preliminary report revealed suspicious file transfers from Hans's work device to a personal USB ID. Within 24 hours, Hans was pulled into a disciplinary meeting. His usual charm, the easy smile, the confident body language fell flat. Under pressure, he stumbled through excuses that only deepened suspicion. By the end of the week, he was placed on unpaid suspension. And Lena? Gone. She ghosted him the moment his suspension was made public. When Anna saw a leaked message Lena sent him, "You promised me Spain, not scandal." She didn't feel victorious. She felt free, detached, like watching a collapsing building from a safe distance. The shift in power wasn't just legal, it was psychological. Hans had always been the one with the upper hand, controlling the narrative, the accounts, the pace of their life. Now, every thread he'd pulled to unravel Anna's world was snapping back at him. She wasn't just surviving, she was advancing. At Clara's apartment, Anna filled the living room with folders, printouts, timelines, and correspondence. Each page represented another step in her reclamation. Clara, ever by her side, brewed coffee and kept the energy grounded. They laughed once. Then, one evening, as they were organizing another folder of evidence, the doorbell rang. Clara moved toward it, cautiously, but Anna stopped her. "I know that knock," she said quietly. Her pulse quickened, but not from fear. It was Hans. He stood in the doorway looking nothing like the man she'd married. His eyes were tired, his posture slouched, his voice unsure. "Anna, please, just 5 minutes." She didn't flinch. She didn't look away. "You lost the right to speak to me," she said coldly, "the moment you drugged me." He opened his mouth, desperate to salvage some sliver of control, but Anna stepped forward and added, "And don't bother trying to spin this. I've seen the emails. I've filed the reports. You're under investigation." His eyes widened. He had no witty reply, no lie prepared. She didn't need to slam the door. Clara simply closed it gently between them. Inside, Anna exhaled and turned back to her files. He was finished. She was just getting started. Hans's suspension from his firm became more than just a temporary measure. It triggered a full-scale internal investigation. Within days, the firm's compliance team uncovered troubling patterns in his recent activity. Not only had he used Anna's personal financial information without her consent, but he had also attempted to use the identity of one of his clients to secure a separate line of credit. It was a flagrant violation of ethics, privacy laws, and every fiduciary guideline in the book. Emails retrieved from Hans's company account revealed communications with Lena, the same mistress he had planned to flee with. What he didn't expect was that under legal pressure, Lena would flip. She gave a full statement, confirming that Hans had orchestrated the plan to liquidate Anna's accounts and assume control of their joint assets before fleeing to Spain. She admitted he boasted about how easy it was to keep Anna docile, how the tea had made her too tired to notice anything. Lena, sensing the walls closing in, tried to distance herself from him immediately. The media caught wind of the scandal. A former client, furious to discover their name had been used in fraudulent paperwork, leaked the story to a financial watchdog blog. Within a week, Hans's face appeared in news articles across Berlin. Investment ideas distanced themselves. Friends stopped returning his calls. His name became synonymous with deceit. Colleagues distanced themselves. Friends stopped returning his calls. Meanwhile, Anna remained calm, composed, and fiercely focused. With Friedrich Müller by her side, she entered divorce negotiations holding all the leverage. She had the documentation, the evidence, the legal standing, and the moral high ground. There was no battle. Hans's attorney, clearly outmatched, pushed for a quiet resolution. He knew dragging it to court would only further expose Hans's criminal behavior. Anna was granted full ownership of their shared apartment, all of her investment accounts, and the rights to any future civil restitution Hans might be ordered to pay. She declined spousal support. She didn't need it. Her promotion at work had already secured her financial independence. The firm that once doubted her now praised her tenacity. Her professional life was flourishing. Her mind was sharper than ever. When the divorce was finalized, Hans had nothing left. His career was in tatters, his reputation demolished, his assets frozen. Lena disappeared. He was left alone in a rented flat on the outskirts of Berlin, under investigation for fraud, identity theft, and breach of fiduciary duty. The man who had tried to erase Anna's life couldn't even salvage his own. Anna walked away untouched. No stains, no fear. She carried the scars of betrayal, but wore them like armor. Clara celebrated with her the night the final decree came in. Over champagne in Clara's cozy kitchen, they toasted to survival, to justice, and to new beginnings. Anna didn't need revenge. Reality had delivered karma with surgical precision. All she had to do was survive long enough to watch it happen. And she did, stronger, smarter, and completely free. In the weeks following her divorce, Anna committed herself to rebuilding not just her life, but her spirit. The fog that once dulled her senses was gone. Her focus sharpened. Her mind returned to the sharp, analytical brilliance that had once made her a rising star. And the world noticed. Just 3 months after everything unraveled, Anna was promoted to lead financial analyst at her firm. Her boss praised her resilience and precision, and clients flocked to her portfolio. The very meetings that once felt paralyzing now invigorated her. She'd walk into conference rooms with confidence, ready to solve problems no one else could untangle. Outside of work, Anna embraced solitude as a form of healing. She booked a solo trip to Prague, wandering cobblestone streets without a schedule. She spent hours sketching in cafes, her fingers rediscovering a forgotten love for art. In Vienna, she lost herself in galleries and symphonies, feeling for the first time in years that she was entirely herself. There was no need to explain, apologize, or pretend. When she returned to Berlin, she reached out to old friends, college roommates, colleagues from her first job, even a neighbor she used to share recipes with. She hosted dinner parties in her bright new apartment, the table always full of laughter, music, and warmth. The woman who once went to bed drugged and uncertain now stayed up late debating politics and painting sunrises on weekends. She found joy in small things again. Small fresh lilies from the farmer's market, handwritten letters from Clara, and long walks through Tiergarten Park. Her mornings no longer began with dread. Her nights no longer ended in confusion. She had reclaimed every part of her life that Hans had tried to erase. The most important part of Anna's reinvention wasn't about career success, or travel, or even friendship. It was how she saw herself. No longer defined by a man or a marriage, she stood in the mirror and finally recognized the woman staring back. She was no longer afraid, no longer apologizing for being too strong, too sharp, too much. She stopped talking about Hans, not out of pain, but because he no longer occupied space in her mind. When his name came up, she simply said, "That part of my life is closed," and moved on. Her story wasn't about him, it was about her. Anna didn't just survive what had happened to her. She transformed. She used the ashes of betrayal to build a life filled with clarity, independence, and joy. And she did it all without compromise. She was no longer haunted by the shadows of what had been done to her. She was living proof that strength doesn't come from never falling, It comes from rising, again and again, and choosing yourself every time. One crisp autumn afternoon in Berlin, Anna strolled down a familiar street near Museum Island. The leaves crunched beneath her boots, and the sun lit up the amber trees like fire. She was on her way to meet Clara for coffee when she saw him. Hans stood outside a worn cafe, leaning against the wall, gaunt and hunched. His once smooth face was drawn and pale, his tailored coat now hanging loosely on his frame. He looked up and saw her. For a moment, their eyes locked. Regret flooded his expression, mouth slightly open, hand twitching at his side, as if unsure whether to wave or beg. But Anna didn't pause. She didn't owe him anything. Her heels clicked past him on the pavement, steady and sure. There was no anger, no sadness, just peace. She didn't look back. That chapter was closed, sealed with every step she had taken since walking away. Hans may have stolen her sleep, her confidence, and nearly her future, but he failed to take her power. Anna whispered to herself as she walked away, a soft smile on her lips. He drugged me to weaken me, but I woke up stronger. The truth didn't just set me free. It reminded me I was never meant to be caged. And with that, she disappeared into the hum of the city, walking boldly toward a life that was entirely her own.